Wealth is a word that brings about a wide variety of mental images, and that is part of my purpose in these cassettes, to provoke that wide variety of mental images, for that is where the dreams are, that is where the inspiration comes from, and that is where true incentive is born. The mystery and mixture of mental image, the stuff and the staff of life. Its right use, its constant use is the way to a life unique and a life abundant. Now, to one, wealth means having enough financial substance to be able to do whatever you wish to do with your life. To another, it may mean freedom from debt, freedom from the constant claim of obligation. To yet another, it means opportunity. And to many, wealth means $1 million. That's a unique word, millionaire. It rings of success, freedom, power, influence, pleasure, possibility, benevolence, and excitement. Not a bad mental image. Now we could talk of the wealth of experience, the wealth of friends, the wealth of love, the wealth of family, the wealth of culture. Wealth of many kinds. We are more specifically going to talk about wealth in the sense of financial freedom. Wealth that comes from the conversion of effort and enterprise into currency and equity. For each of us, the amount of money required to be wealthy will differ. But the dream for all of us, I'm sure, is the same. Freedom from financial pressure. More freedom of choice, freedom to enjoy, and the opportunity to create and to share. Wealth, the possession of great financial resources that improves the quality of your life and gives you added dignity and expanded lifestyle. So decide for yourself what wealth means to you. Latch on to your own mental image of wealth, and let's see if the ideas I'm about to bring to you will make sense and perhaps provide you with the inspiration to put the plan into high action so that as the days pass, you will discover a growing sense of freedom and dignity, self-worth, substance, and lifestyle. Success is merely a natural result that comes from the consistent operation of the practical fundamentals. As someone wisely remarked, to be successful, you don't have to do extraordinary things. Just do ordinary things extraordinarily well. There are always about a half dozen things that make 80% of the difference. Whether we are working on our health, wealth, personal goals, or professional enterprise, the difference between our ultimate success or inevitable failure lies in the degree to which we are willing to seek out, study, and to go to work on those half dozen things. Make sure you don't go looking for the exotic answers to success. Success is a very basic process. It doesn't fall out of the sky. It doesn't have any mysteries, nor does it fall into the realm of the miraculous. I made many major mistakes in those early days, but I was ambitious and willing to work hard and figured I wouldn't have any trouble getting a job, which turned out to be accurate. So with a head full of dreams and ambitions, I started my first job. About 3 years later, I got married, made lots of promises, worked hard, and a couple of years later started a family. And at age 25, I started taking a new look at my life. My weekly paycheck amounted to the grand total of $57. I was far behind on my promises, behind on my bills, and discouraged. I was far from making the progress I thought I should have made. I was willing to work hard. That was not my problem. But it was clear that it was going to take more than hard work. And I didn't want to wind up at age 60 broke, needing assistance, like so many people I saw around me, not in the richest country in the world. So what do you do to change the direction of your life? I thought, well, I should go back to school. 1 year of college doesn't look that good on an application. But now with my family starting, going back to school seemed like a tough decision. I didn't have any money to start my own business. Money was one of my problems. I always had far too much month left over at the end of the money, if you've ever been in that position. I remember one time losing $10 and I was physically ill for 2 days over a $10 bill. Some of my friends tried to be cheerful. They said, look, maybe some poor person who needed it found it. But that was not really helpful. I must admit at that time in my life, benevolence had not yet seized me. I was the person who needed to find $10, not lose 10. So that's where I was at that time in my life, behind on my dreams, and constantly wondering what I could possibly do to change my life for the better. Well, at age 25, good fortune came my way. And many times it's difficult to explain good fortune. Why do unique things happen to you when they do? I don't know. Part of that is a mystery to me. I shared this philosophy for wealth and happiness with my business partners and met with equally exciting results. I am primarily a businessman, not a professional public speaker. But I have been intrigued with the challenge of trying to put into words the ideas that can make a difference in how a person's life works out. And now I have the chance to share these ideas with you. I don't claim to have all the answers on how to do well, but I do have some answers that have worked extremely well for me and thousands of others. Take these ideas and edit them all you wish. You certainly don't have to buy everything any one person says. But give me a chance. Fundamentals form the beginning, the basis, the reality from which everything else flows. And remember, there are no new fundamentals. Fundamentals are old, well established. Beware of someone who claims to have a new fundamental. That's like someone who claims to manufacture antiques. We would have to be suspicious, right? So fundamentals, basics, they are so very important to understand and consider and practice if you wish for the good life. For a farmer to reap a plentiful harvest in the fall, for example, the major basics are fairly obvious. Soil, seed, water, sunshine, nourishment, and care. Each fundamental being equally in need of study and attention, for together they bring about the best chance for a successful harvest. A good question to ask before undertaking any project or setting any new objective, then, is what are the most important half-dozen things that will make the major difference in how it works out? So whether the enterprise is art or architecture, music or sculpture, mathematics or sports, business or farming, success or lifestyle, it's the fundamentals that count. To understand them and to practice them is to take the first intelligent step toward accomplishing your objectives and living your dreams. Discipline taps the unlimited power of commitment. The human will in action, driven by inspiration, enticed by desire, tempered by reason, guided by intelligence, can bring you to that high and lofty place called the good life. Discipline, those unique steps of intelligent thought and activity that put a lid on temper and a faucet on courtesy, that develop positive and control negative, that encourage success and deter failure, that design lifestyle and control frustration, that enhance health and curb sickness, that promote happiness and manage sadness. Discipline, the start and the continuing process that brings all good things. And remember, anyone can start the process. It's not if I could, I would. It's if I would, I could. If I will, I can. So start the new process. You can begin a new habit no matter how small it is. Small isn't important. Whether or not you start and whether or not you continue are all that is important. And don't be deluded by an affirmation. Only affirm what you are truly prepared to do. Many of us delude ourselves with our words into believing that we're making changes and making progress, when in fact our daily activity is taking us in the exact opposite direction of our affirmations. Why would you walk in the opposite direction of your dreams? The man dreams of wealth and walks daily towards certain financial disaster. The man wishes for happiness and thinks the thoughts and commits the acts that take him to certain despair. So to have a prosperous life, start a prosperity plan. To become wealthy, start a wealth plan. Remember, you don't have to be wealthy to have a wealth plan. A person with no means can have a rich plan. If you are ill, start a health plan. If you don't have energy, start an energy plan. If you don't feel good, start a feel-good plan. If you're not smart, start a smart plan. If you can't, start a can plan. If you haven't, start a have plan. Anyone can. Even a bad person can start hearing good messages and reading good books. Recognize that the start of the better life, the happy life, the wealthy life is today. This is exciting. Both the process and the result can begin today. Start the new journey today. If you think of a new idea, today is the day to begin the discipline of putting that idea into action. Set this day up as a long, busy, exciting start for your new life. Get your first book for your new library today. Begin your new practice of setting goals today. Start clearing out a drawer of your new orderly desk today. Start eating an apple a day on your new health plan today. Put some money in your new investment for fortune account today. Start reading with intensity for your new wealth of mind plan today. Write a postponed letter today. Make a delayed telephone call today. Pick up your camera and take a picture of something to start your new treasury of photographs today. Get some momentum going on your new commitment to the better life. See how many activities you can pile on in this first day. Go all out. Break away from the negative downward pull of gravity. Start the thrusters going. Prove to yourself that waiting is over, hoping is past, and that faith and action have now taken charge. It's a new day, a new beginning for your new life. With discipline, you can't believe the list of positive moves you can make in the first day of your new beginning. What have you got to lose? Only the despair and fear and guilt of the past. Only the dissatisfaction and unhappiness and lack of fulfillment of the past. Success is both a journey and a destination, isn't it? It is both the steady, measured progress toward a goal and the achievement of a goal. Success is an accomplishment, whether it be great or small, and it's an understanding of the potential and power of an entire human life. Success is an awareness of value, and it's the cultivation of value through discipline. It can be tangible or intangible. Success is a process of turning away from something in order to turn toward something else. From no exercise to exercise, from candy to fruit, from not investing to investing. Success is responding to an invitation to change, to grow, to develop, to become, to move up to a better place with a better vantage point. But most of all, success is making your life what you want it to be, considering all the possibilities, considering all the examples. What do you want for your life? That is the big question. Remember, success is not a set of standards from our culture, but rather a collection of personal values, clearly defined and ultimately achieved. Success is your better life for you, the design you give it, the dreams you accomplish. Making your life what you want it to be for you, that is success.
Change from nothing to something. Change from broke to rich. Anybody in this room can do it. If any of us can do it, we all can do it. That's the kind of value you should place on yourself. If Jim Rohn can understand it, I can understand it. If he can read, I can read. If he can find it, I can find it. If he can change, I can change. If he can get it done, I can get it done. That's the attitude about yourself. So valuable. Okay? Now, in transforming our lives, we don't start with attitude. We don't start with the inspiration here. We start with education. Somebody says, well, I expected you to just come get motivated today. Well, that probably won't do it. Somebody says, by now we should be standing on the chairs, waving a flag, singing the old gray mare. Get going here. No, that's not where you start. Life change does not start with inspiration. Life change starts with education. You've got to be educated to the point of where you might have messed up. My teacher put it in blunt, simple language. He only went to the 9th grade in school, so he put it in simple language I could understand. He said, Mr. Rohn, after 6 years living in America, healthy American male, 25 years old, been working 6 years, 1 year of college, pennies in your pocket, nothing in the bank, behind on your promises. Shoaff said, I just got one simple explanation for that. You've messed up. Now, I could understand that kind of language. Substitute a Hershey bar for an apple means you've messed up. Should walk around the block, could walk around the block, won't walk around the block. You have messed up. And all you got to go is right down through the list Don't need some teacher to come by and tell you. Be your own best teacher, saying, hey, let me make a list of some places I've messed up. Because if I let this down, that probably affects the rest. And the answer is, that's true. So we don't start with inspiration, we start with education. Somebody says, well, just motivate this guy, he'll be all right. Just motivate him, get him turned on. Probably not. If a guy's an idiot, you motivate him, now you got a motivated idiot. No, he won't be all right. For things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, it's not what happens that determines your future, it's what you do about what happens. Direction determines destination. All you got to do is make a little change in direction to arrive at a brand new destination in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Way back in those early days, if I'd put an ad in the paper and somebody'd call and say, I'm out of a job, what have you got? I'd say, look, get a job and call me. The business I've got works better part-time. Here's why. Part-time, the extra money you earn can greatly change your lifestyle, and a change of lifestyle is a great recruiting tool. So show people the value of part-time. Then my mentor taught me if I started part-time, I could have a great testimonial that went like this. I'm working full-time on my job, and I'm now working part-time on my fortune. It's so exciting to go to work part-time on your fortune. Yes, it's fun to make a little extra money. Yes, change your lifestyle. But I developed a whole new philosophy. That's why within less than 6 months, I was making more money part-time than I was making on my full-time job. Here was my next goal, to make twice as much money part-time as I was making on my full-time job. I reached that in less than 1 year. Now I've got an incredible story. I found this unique opportunity. I'm part-time, but I'm making twice as much money part-time as I'm making on my full-time job. I'm then still reluctant to go full-time, because I didn't want to give up this incredible story. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. If you just remain how you are, you'll always have what you've got. But if you're willing to make changes, the next 5 years of your life can be totally different than the last 5. If you don't change, chances are excellent the next 5 will be like the last 5. You just have to search. If you search, what? You will find. Finding is reserved for the searchers, not for the hopers, not for those who wish, but for those who search. And you've had enough information here already today to go back and increase your skill and ability to search until you find good people. The third skill I learned was how to organize, getting people to work together. If you want to become wealthy, this is one of the most important skills. An ancient scripture says, if 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. The next key I learned that changed my life, a unique skill called promotion. Alan Lorenz is probably the best. He knows all the dates and he knows all the meetings. He almost has the world calendar in his head. It's amazing. And he knows the reasons why. If you just do this, you'll reach this level. And if you do this, you'll reach this level. And if you just take 4, you'll do this. But if you'll take care of the little steps, learning to recognize, promote, then here's the key that made me millions. Be so busy giving recognition to others, you really don't need it for yourself. Next, the skill that I learned during those formative years of being a distributor, and that's communication. And it's communication in 3 parts. Here's those 3 parts. Number 1, training, showing somebody how the business works. You've had plenty of that already today. But here's the next one, which I'm trying to do a bit of as we finish here today. And that's called teaching. And I've just used 2 words just to separate the 2. Training, showing somebody how the business works. Teaching is showing somebody how life works. When I met my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, he said to me, Mr. Rohn, show me your current list of goals and let's go over them and talk about them. He said, I've been around a long time. I can probably give you some good advice. And I said to him, I don't have a list. He said, Mr. Rohn, if you don't have a current list of your goals, he said, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did. And that got my attention. I said, you mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals? He said, drastically. I said, then I'm ready to learn how to set goals. He taught me, and it changed my life, how to set goals. So I'm asking you not only just to be a trainer, I'm asking you to be a teacher. Teach somebody leadership skills. Teach somebody communication skills. So we need life skills and business skills, and you can learn to do both, even if you're fairly new. Here's the most important on communication: learning to inspire, helping people see themselves better than they are, helping people see the future, helping people see not just with their eyes, but help them to see with their mind, insight. Seeing with your eyes we call sight. Seeing with your imagination we call insight. Helping people to see the vision of the future. Help people to see the possibilities. Describe to them the potential, what's available. Using testimonials. There's so many testimonials now, people that started with nothing. Learn to work with the people who deserve it, not the people who need it, because that's the way life works. Life doesn't respond to what we need. Life responds to what we deserve. It doesn't say if you need a harvest, you'll get one. It says, no, if you plant in the spring, you'll get a harvest in the fall. Reaping and harvesting belongs to the planters, not to those who need, but to those who plant. Then here's the next key. Show people how to deserve your time. Work with the people who deserve it, but show them how to deserve your time, your attention, your information. Do your best to teach and inspire and instruct, and then just see what happens. Let yourself be surprised. Here's what else I found that made me rich. Sometimes it's not who you recruit, it's who they bring you that makes you rich. You must remember that. You recruit somebody and they bring somebody who brings somebody who brings somebody, and that's the person who makes you rich. And have the patience to make that happen. So let me give you this quick list now as I wrap it up. Here's the first one. Have some patience. Patience to work with a variety of personalities. Some customers are easy and some are a pain. Some distributors are easy and some are a pain. Some distributors, as soon as they're recruited, open up the bottle of tablets, pour the tablets on the table, and they count the tablets. If it's one tablet short, they call you on the phone. If it's one tablet too many, they never call. Have the patience. Do the best you can. I know sometimes patience finally runs out. But until then, do the best you can. Next, you got to have faith to believe, faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in the plan, faith in the products. With what we've heard now about products these last few days, and especially today, you can have faith that Herbalife's going to continue to have the best products available that science can possibly produce. Here's what's next. Learn to make wise decisions. Wise decisions about yourself, your organization, your family, your future. Develop all the skills necessary to make your fortune. And by the way, speaking of fortune, jot this down. One of the early goals you should set, since you're involved in a program that can help you get there. The goal to become financially independent as quickly as possible. Financial independence means the ability someday to live from the income of your invested resources. I want you to get there as quickly as possible. Someday you could, if you wanted to, live from the income of your invested resources so that now you can work for joy and not for necessity. The next word I want to leave with you is courage. Sometimes when it all seems wrong, you just have to stay in there and have courage to stay. Courage in public. Here's some of the most important courage. Courage in private. When you've got nobody to talk to but yourself, have courage to tell yourself the truth. Here's where I really am. Here's what I'm really doing. Here's what's really going on. That kind of courage will change your life. Here's the next one. Courage to change. If you've gotten some information here already today to make some changes in your program, changes in your thought, changes in your philosophy, how to do the business, make those changes. Here's the next one. Courage to be silent when it's so easy to talk. Here's the big one. Courage to forgive. If somebody you've been working with and there seems to be a little tension, things aren't going well, somebody asks you to forgive, do that. Next, the courage to risk, like the farmer does every year, planting in the spring. Risk your emotions and your time and your heart. And to finish, learn the lesson of the seasons. Do the work of summer. Here's what summer's for: to nourish your values like a mother, give them life, to protect them like a father. Do the work of summer, staying the whole season, staying till it turns, staying till it happens. As you would protect a newborn baby as a father and nourish it like a mother, so treat your organization. Next, in the harvest, when it comes, there's two things in life that are so important. Number one, the full development of all your potential. Here's the next one, the wise use of all your resources. All those years ago, I started teaching 70, 10, 10, and 10. Don't spend more than 70% of what you earn. Then 10 cents for charity, 10 cents for active capital, which is Herbalife, 10 cents for investment capital. 70, 10, 10, and 10. Some have used that. Sarah used it. Others have used it over the last 10 years to become millionaires. I was taught which works. If you want to be financially independent someday, it's called 2 homes and 1 car. The average American gets 2 cars and 1 home. Here's a good advice. 2 homes and 1 car. You buy the second car after you've bought the second home. Wise use of your resources. So do the work of summer. It's not easy, but get it done. Do wise things with your harvest. And here's the last season to finish. When the winter comes, hopefully you'll be prepared from what you've done before the winter arrives. But the winter of surprise, the winter of death, the winter of illness, the winter of difficulties, make this note, just hang on. You know, the winter cannot last forever. There's never been a double winter. Some are difficult and some are easier. There's never been a double night. The night only lasts for a few hours, and then the day finally dawns and the shadows flee away. So I'm asking you to hang in there.
And even though we may wish we could breathe a little easier in our clothing, we have to have the desire to exercise a little more and eat a little less. The I wish I could lose weight has to become, I have the eager desire to lose weight. I'm also sure you've heard people talk about wishing they had more money to pay the bills, or take a vacation, or just to take a little pressure off of life. But before their lifestyle can change, their wish needs to become a desire. If they really desired change, they wouldn't spend their evenings just watching TV and wishing they were doing something more. The backbone of an eager desire to change is discipline. True ambition is disciplined, eager desire. It's that little part within us that says, if I want to be ready for that meeting tomorrow, I need to finish preparing for it today. If I want to make sure I can pay for my kids' college education, I need to start saving today. If I want a better life tomorrow, I need to start working on it today. Ambition is a minute-by-minute, day-by-day mentality. To have the ambition to work towards a better family life, a newer car, a bigger house, a financially secure future, you have to live it every moment. If living a successful life was easy, I'm sure more people would be successful. If just being ambitious was enough, I'm sure all of the broke and perplexed people in the world wouldn't be broke and perplexed. While most people spend most of their lives struggling to earn a living, a much smaller number seem to have everything going their way. Instead of just earning a living, the smaller group is busily working at building and enjoying a fortune. Everything just seems to work out for them. And here sits the much larger group, wondering in awe on how life can be so unfair, complicated, and unjust. So what's the major difference between the little group with so much and the larger group with so little? Despite all the factors that affect our lives, like the kind of parents we have, the schools we attended, the part of the country we grew up in, none has as much potential power for doing good as the ability to dream. Now, my approach to my better future very early on in my career was to just go through the day with my fingers crossed. And I used to say something like, I sure hope things will change for the better. Then here's what I found out. They're not going to change. Somebody says, well then, how will my life ever change? Answer, when you change.
When you change, when you get better, it'll get better. If you change, it'll all change. Don't put it on someone else. Hope that someone else will change it for you. Take responsibility for yourself. Take personal responsibility. You can't change the circumstances or the seasons or the wind, but you can change your reading habits. You can change whether or not you go for the skills, burn the midnight oil, turn yourself around, multiply your value by 2, 3, 5, 10. That you've got charge of. That you have control of. You don't have control of the constellations, but you've got control over whether or not you go to night school, take adult classes, learn some new skills. You have control over that. And if you don't, that's your fault. You've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to be self-reliant. You. Nobody else can change your life, alter your ambitions, pave a golden road for you. But you can. It's up to you. Be responsible for yourself. Learn to reap the harvest without complaint. This is a sign of growing maturity. And here's where it comes from, taking full responsibility. Take full responsibility for everything you do. Be responsible to yourself. It's your crop. Whatever your paycheck is, take full responsibility. You say, well, it's my employer. No, it's not your employer. You can become twice as valuable, 3 times as valuable. Burn the midnight oil, learn some more skills, bring more value to the marketplace. I'm telling you, whatever your harvest is, take it without complaint. Take it without blaming others.
The spirit and power and emotion with which you translate your communication. Intensity gives power to vocabulary. Words are just words, but here's what's powerful. Words loaded with emotion. See, that's what's powerful. You say, is the word powerful? Yes, the word is powerful, but the emotion is so much more powerful. It's different reading the word bastard in the dictionary and have somebody call you one. If a word is a word, say, no, a word just isn't a word. It all depends, right? It depends. So, emotion is, if I took a little straight pin, right? Guy buys a shirt, it's got all these pins in it, right? You got to take out all these pins. If I took one of these little straight pins and I threw it at you, and it hit you in the face or the hands, you'd feel it, this little straight pin. But what if I took that little straight pin and wired it to the end of an iron bar about this long? See? And I let you have it with that, I could drive the pin through your heart. So the little pin is the words and the iron bar is the emotions that give the words power, that gives the words weight, that makes it strike the consciousness. The day the Christian church was started, it said this unique sermon was preached, and the sermon was so powerful, it said, it struck their conscience. It struck their consciousness. And your words can become so powerful, it can strike somebody's consciousness, and they say, oh, wow, now I know what I did wrong. Now I understand the difficulty. Now I can see. And words can become that powerful that they strike the heart, they strike the mind, they strike the consciousness, so that somebody can see. So since words are that powerful mixed with emotion, here's what's important. Next line, learn to measure your emotions. Because if you don't do that, you can do more damage than good. Words not only give life, words kill. With words, you can kill someone's incentive. You can kill someone's dignity. You can either give life or take life by the words you use. So you got to be very careful now with this emotional power. You got to use it very wisely. But words loaded with emotion, it's so powerful, but you got to measure it. Too much firepower destroys the opportunity. We say, we don't shoot a cannon at a rabbit. That's too much firepower. It's effective, but you got no more rabbit. Right? One of my colleagues years ago said, you should have been there, listen to my talk. He said, I blew them all away. I said, oh no, where are they now? You blew them all away? That's too much. You don't need to blow everybody away. We're talking now about being effective. Here's the key, enough emotion. Now the men have to work on enough. And probably the female side has to work on a bit of restraint. The men, a bit more, enough, and the women, not too much. And we all have to measure that, whether it's in our business, whether it's in sales, or whether it's speaking to a child. Enough, but not too much. Okay. Isn't this interesting stuff? This, you can't believe what a little bit of course on this stuff will do in helping you to sense some things you didn't sense before, see some things you didn't see before, and pick up some signals you never picked up before by just paying attention. Now your effectiveness multiplies by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10. It's fabulous. This is fabulous stuff. Okay. Now, what is the intensity? It's the blend of all your emotions and all your experiences that have affected you. The key is to keep and store those so that they're handy and near the surface. Because here's the next key now in making a presentation, having a conversation. Number 1, identification. If you have available to you all of your experiences close at hand, now you can identify with someone. Here's what identification means: making yourself real to someone else, hopefully in the very beginning. If a man talks to a man, that's a pretty easy identification. If a man talks to a woman, a lot more difficult. If we're the same, it's a lot easier to identify. Here's what identification means: building a bridge between you and someone else by relating some common experiences. Next, key to good communication is learn to attack the problem but not the person. This is an art. Too often we attack the person that is so closely identified with the problem, but the key is to attack the problem. We expect the doctor not to attack the patient, but we expect the doctor to attack the disease, to attack the problem, to make the operation successful, save the patient, destroy the disease, destroy the diseased organ. So here's what we expect a doctor to be: very professional. So you can't be reckless here now, going after the problem when it seems like you're going after the person. You got to be like a surgeon. This is important stuff here, because a lot of people really get destroyed here by not being careful like a surgeon. Matters of the heart are delicate. You can't operate on the heart with a hatchet. If you were about to go under for the heart operation and you heard the doctor say, "Hand me the hatchet," you'd come awake. Say, "No, what do you mean? We're talking about my heart here." No, and some people go after matters of the heart with a hatchet, right? Too severe. They're not careful enough to handle the problem, to go after the problem. But the key is to save the patient. And this is why you have to use this language even with your children. I love you, but I hate what's happening. I don't hate you. God sometimes has this difficulty, saying, "I love you, but I hate your sinful ways." Now, since me and my sinful ways are so wrapped up together, I have a tendency to think maybe God hates me, and God says, "No, let me make it clear one more time. I don't hate you. I love you, but I hate what's happening. Your sinful ways that are carrying you away, your sinful ways that are leading you to destruction, your sinful ways that will soon have you dead. That's what I hate." Right? The sinful ways that's got their fingers around your throat, shutting off the air supply. That's what I hate. I hate the enemy, not you. I hate the enemy. And if you learn to deal with your kids that way, they'll appreciate what you hate, as long as they know what you love and what you hate. And sometimes you just got to say it. You got to make it clear. I don't hate you, but I hate what's going on. I hate what I see. I hate what's happening. I don't feel good about it. I feel good about you, but not about it. See, if you make it clear, that kind of communication is so useful. It is so powerful. Now, here's one of the best ways to attack a problem, and that's to confess you've got it or that you've had it. Say, "Mary, the reason I'm talking to you about this is I'm telling you I've been through it, and I made some wrong decisions. Let me tell you what it carved out of my life that I'll never get back." One of the best illustrations is to use yourself. Say, "John, I want you out of this ditch because I remember when I was in the ditch and stayed a little too long. You can't imagine what it cost me to keep putting off the decision, I'm telling you, I've got some regret, a little bit regret till this day. Don't let that happen to you. Use yourself. One of the best illustrations is yourself. If you're getting on somebody's case, say, "Hey, I remember somebody got on my case," and save the day. If that person hadn't come along, got on my case, told it like it was, give it to me straight, I'm telling you, I'd have been lost, I'd have been gone, wouldn't be here to talk to you. So listen to me from my own experience. See, that kind of communication is so valuable. Now, here's another way to attack a problem. Use an illustration of a person that isn't there. So let me tell you about John, Joe. John said, "Oh, sure enough." I'm telling you, he regrets to this day his old attitude. And if John was here, he'd tell you himself. But since he isn't here, let me tell you about John. If John was here, he would plead with you with tears in his eyes. See, that third party. First, you confess your own sins, the mistakes you made, which you went through to help someone. Then you use a third party, another illustration for someone that isn't there, instead of direct. Then when there's no hope left, you can use the direct attack. Here's what we call this: tools of last resort. They are useful, but you got to be very careful using tools of last resort. Here's the first one, a direct attack. You. No illustration, no third party. Now you got to be very careful when you go direct. Because now confrontation is it's difficult. It can be so helpful. It can save the day. It can rescue somebody from disaster, but you've got to know what you're doing when you go for the direct attack. Because now you may destroy your chances forever to get back into a conversation with a person if you destroy it this time. You got to do it. You got to do it strong, and you got to do the direct attack, but you got to do it in such a way that the door is still open in this communication effort. A direct attack. Here's another tool of last resort, scolding. You got to be very careful of scolding. It may be necessary, but only as a tool of last resort. It's not something you use up front. Use yourself as an illustration. Confess yourself and for someone else. Then if there's no hope left, then you go for the direct attack. And the same way with scolding, you got to be very careful. Somebody walks in late and you say, "Where have you been?" See, that's loaded. That's loaded with insinuation. And yes, finally it might be time to use it. Finally, there isn't any other way, and you got to resort to it. But you got to be careful of these tools of last resort. Don't use them up front. Only use them as a last resort. Because when you say, "Where have you been?" See, that insinuates all kinds of things. You don't care. Insinuation, if it's necessary, is important. But if it isn't necessary, it's important to leave it out. Old Joe Kennedy taught John Kennedy, who became president, one important phrase. Here it is, and it applies in so many ways. So jot it down. If it is not necessary to change, it is necessary not to change. If it is not necessary to use strong language, it's necessary not to use strong language. If it's not necessary to scold, then it's necessary not to scold. You can't just use it because you're good at it. Or just because, something flared up and you just let it fly. You can only use it because it's absolutely necessary. And if it is not necessary to scold, it is necessary not to scold. Tools of last resort. Some parents scold their children all day long. Scolding is like getting someone's attention with a cut. And yes, it'll heal. With a cut. And yes, it'll heal. And yes, maybe this time it was necessary to scold. But what if you did that all day? Every day, all day. Say, no, some of it's the beginning of cruelty. Not ultimate cruelty, not devastating cruelty, but it could lead to that. So you got to be very careful. The human heart is very fragile. No matter how strong and powerful and loud the exterior may be, I'm telling you, that ain't true of what's going on inside. Everybody's consciousness and dignity and heart is a delicate matter. And you can do so many useful things, and you can have such an unbelievable success if you just follow a few of these little guidelines, especially on tools of last resort. Save it up. It's like profanity. The key is to save it up. If a guy swears and cusses all day, say, "Oh, don't mind John, he's just a cusser," right? We have to put up with his mouth all the time. But see, that's ineffective. But somebody that doesn't use profanity, I'm telling you, the day they do, the world stops. Bill doesn't usually talk like that. Something must be going on. You save it. Then when you use it, it's so effective. But not every day. A mother screams every day. Finally, the kids just get used to it. Other kids come over to visit and they say, "Don't mind Mama, she's just a screamer. She just screams all day long." But see, one day it might be fatal. The little 3-year-old is headed for the street and the truck is coming. Mama screams. Doesn't mean anything. Because she's been screaming every day, all day. See, if she would have saved up her screams when the 3-year-old is headed for the street and she screams, the world stops. Everybody's blood turns to ice water. Wow. Mama doesn't scream that often. But when she does, it means something. So, With care, you can help so many people if you do it with care. Careful communication. Powerful, yes, but careful, yes. I don't mind a minister consigning my soul to hell fire for my sinful ways. I don't mind that, as long as he does it with tears and not with joy. If you're going to preach a message on hellfire, you got to sob and cry all your way through. You can't preach a dry-eyed sermon on sending people to hell. We would all dismiss it as an ego performance, a dry-eyed sermon on hellfire. You got to sob, your heart's got to break, and the tears have to flow if you're going to preach hellfire. Otherwise, it's an ego performance. We would all dismiss it. Ineffective. Key. Next, on communication. The power of persuasion. Let's talk about that. We can present, but here's what the ultimate goal is in communication, is to persuade, not just to present. You got the stories. You talk to a teenager, you got the stories. When you talk to a woman, you got the stories. When you talk to a homemaker, you got the stories. No matter who you're talking to, you got stories, you got ways and means to illustrate your point. That's number one, be a good storyteller. Here's number two, accurate facts. If you're going to communicate, speak the truth. There's nothing more powerful than the truth. It sets everything free. It sets you free to give a strong testimonial, the truth. Especially in business, here's what you don't need, exaggeration. But it's unimportant, exaggeration. You say, I got to pad the number so it'll seem right. I say, no. Something will give you away in your voice. Somebody also pick up those signals and say, those numbers don't sound right. Better to speak the truth. Better understated than overstated. I've got this book called Seasons of Life. Someone says, well, that's not the best picture of you in there. I said, that's right, so that when I show up, I'll look better than the picture. Some people use these glamour shots, right? And then when they show up, they look a little rough around the edges, right? And here's the important thing in business. Make sure it turns out to be easier than you said and more than you promised. Easier than you said and more than you promised. Exaggeration is the childish attempt to make up for lack of self-worth and self-confidence. There's nothing better than the truth. If the right numbers don't do it, you just don't do it. But the right numbers will strike a key with enough people to where the response will be plenty to support you. Now, here's another part of persuasion, and that's straight talk. Just make the note, everybody's interested in this. Tell it like it is. Tell it like it really is. This is why the truth sets free, because it tells it like it is. Now you can correct the problem. Now you can set up new disciplines. Without the truth, you're helpless. We got to tell the truth. We got to give it to them straight. We got to tell the kids straight. Here's the deal. Now, here's another one, and that's challenge. Part of persuasion is a challenge. All of us respond to challenge. And a big challenge is you go do it, you go do it. Why don't you do it? You can do it. Here's a better challenge. Let's do it. Let's climb the mountain. Let's build a business. Let's start and get going. Let's become healthy. Not you go exercise. Let's exercise. Let's go to the gym. Let's jog around the block. Let's change our diet and see how healthy we can become. There's nothing more powerful than let's. Here's why. An ancient script says this. If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. Try that on for size. All of my enterprises for the last 40 years have been partnerships. 2, 3, 4 people. 2, 3, 4. Why? Because it's so powerful. You say, isn't partnership tricky? Say, yes, it's tricky, but it's powerful. It's like marriage. It's tricky, but it's powerful. There's nothing like it. Having children, isn't that a little tricky? Say, yes, but you got to go for it. You got to try the experience. Here's the last part on communication, especially in the art of persuasion. That's a passionate belief in something. And your passionate belief in something doesn't have to be something you talk about all the time. For some, it's a religion. It's a unique experience. It's spiritual. For some, it is an objective. It is a vocation. But the greatest passion to start with is to be extremely successful and affect as many people as you can. That's the quickest and easiest passion to uncover. And you don't have to wait till you find your passion. Just be passionate about being healthy. Be passionate about being influential. Be passionate about being extremely successful. Sinatra said, the greatest revenge is massive success. Be passionate about winning the game of financial independence, power, parenting, the best, Success is that early passion to succeed in making progress, to succeed in getting healthy, to succeed in learning skills, to succeed in being better this year than you were last year, to succeed in expanding your horizons, to succeed. That's the early passion. Now, if you find something in particular, like being a sculptor, learning sculpturing or painting or whatever, and then that becomes a passionate affair with you, but that's fine. But the early passion can be just very simple ABC stuff. Overcoming fears that you've had, being a more confident person, right? Self-esteem at the highest possible level, that kind of passion. To be an articulate person, to be able to persuade, to be able to share my story, to be able to affect other people in a positive way, my community. That's the passion, to take whatever you've got and turn it into a successful, prospering, flourishing, exciting, financial, social, personal, spiritual life, right? That's the passion, to be all that you can possibly be. That was Mr. Schoaf's philosophy. I said, how much should I earn? He said, as much as you can. How far should I go? As far as you can. How many books should I read? As many as you can. How much should I share? As much as you can. How many things should I try to go see? As many things as you possibly can. Stretch as far as you can, go as far as you can, earn as much as you can, do as much as you can. Become as successful as you possibly can. Be the best parent you possibly can be. That was enough passion for me. In fact, it had so many unique categories that it's kept me busy all these years, just trying to stretch to that degree. A passionate belief, a passionate persuasion about life. For some people, it is a spiritual experience, and they don't necessarily talk about it all the time, but they use it as fuel for the fire. It makes them unusual. It gives them charisma. It gives them an unusual presence. Not something they speak about all the time, but something that happens to them all the time. If you've ever been rescued, somebody saved your life, I'm sure that would be an experience that would linger and fuel the fire for how long? Probably forever. Someone saved your life. You just use that experience. You don't necessarily talk about it all the time. You just use it. I got a second chance at life. It could have been over for me. I got this second chance. Now that I got this second chance, I'm going to make it everything I can possibly make it. And those fires burn, right? You use it. You use it. And whether it's religion or whether it's spiritual or whether it's personal or whether it's social, whatever it is, just use that to become a great persuader.